Hello, Brobs. We're back. I have one work session under my belt post sickness. Although I felt rather rotten all day at work. Anyways, let's get to, we got what, 30 pages to go here? Something like that, 35 pages. Chapter 17. The activities Dr. Ambrose recommended, plus visits to his and Dr. Gordon's offices and scores of other things that had to be attended to, helped me to keep a fair degree of equilibrium during the next few weeks. Dr. Ambrose had routed my main dread. Rhiannon was not reaching out to me from the other side. It was only Phoebe, and what could I possibly have to fear from her outside of playful mischief? And that seemed to have been discouraged by my pregnancy. In addition, Dr. Ambrose had allayed any apprehensions I had that I was losing my mind. The senior days of the year flipped off the calendar in uneven tempo reminiscent of the leaves outside, which, one by one, lost their grip and drifted down to earth, only to be caught up in the caprice of the wind and gyrated like whirling dervishes over the deadening grass. Ellen outfitted the house in its armor plate of storm windows. Mrs. Lemke fussed over the mincemeat she had stored in a large crock in the basement, adding ends of roasts and other goodies at times as time went on, and started her holiday cookies. In a spurt of energy, I wrote my Christmas cards early. For the first time in my life, my friends were going to have a shock this year. Thanksgiving came in on a turkey's wing and went down the disposal. A weird book. Snowflakes danced with the leaves. Then there were no more leaves to fall, and the flakes had the stage to themselves as Christmas began to move in, with the tall pines soaking in a bucket on the back porch prior to taking its place of honor in the bay window. Outside, the lake hummed upon the beach with a frosty breath, its color gone from azure to Wedgwood, and the cry of a laggard gull was a lonesome occasional thing. For the moment, I felt safe. Phoebe continued to be repulsed by my advancing pregnancy and confined her appearances to sessions in the psychiatrist's office. She had become strangely sullen and communicative, however, even though Dr. Ambrose no longer found it necessary to hypnotize me in order to call her forth. I, of course, knew her only through the tapes I listened to and the transcripts of them the doctor gave me. But it was apparent that the blitheness had gone out of her. Once she broke down and cried. She said she felt everyone was against her, that no one had ever loved her, and that no matter how hard she struggled, she found herself losing contact with the outside. While I should have rejoiced at this, I found myself being actually sorry for her. She was so pathetic and forlorn. At other times, she wouldn't talk about herself at all, and if Dr. Ambrose asked her about the other one, or Madame X, as we had come to call her, Phoebe would retreat inward immediately and leave me in control again. She seemed to feel that she had said too much already, and there was an aura of fear about her. During one of my visits, Dr. Ambrose attempted, through hypnosis, to take me back into my childhood to see if he could find confirmation for his theory that some forgotten experience had led to the birth of Phoebe. When I came out of hypnosis, there was a new air of excitement about him. "I think we're on to something," he said. "Listen to this." It is an airy thing to hear one's voice backstepping through the years, becoming higher pitched and more childlike, as the vocabulary itself and manner of speaking steadily regresses. He started me at the age of 8 and worked back year by year. I babbled about memorable experiences such as my first ride on Prairie, the time my parents took me fishing, and I promptly hooked the seat of my pants, but then went on to glory by catching the only legal fish of the day. A ball I lost, a doll I loved that Rhiannon smashed, the lion at the zoo that roared at me in a most unmannerly way, the time I got my head stuck between the bars of my crib, and my mother fed me ice cream until my father extricated me. Then suddenly, without warning, a small child's piercing shriek of rage followed by a torrent of words, then more wails, some of pain as well as anger. The talk was so interlaced with sobs that words were hard to distinguish. But, quoting from the transcript Dr. Ambrose gave me, here's how they went. No, no, Daddy, don't push me off. You're my daddy. She can't have you. No, no, that's my Teddy. Bad baby, bad baby. Dr. Ambrose's voice intervened, soothing and quieting then. Now it's all over. You've calmed down and you're a big girl now, but you still remember something. What happened about your daddy and a baby and a teddy bear? Will you tell me about it? The voice that responded was flat and inflectionless. I was sitting in my father's lap when someone brought the baby in and held it out for him to take. He told me to get off, that he wanted to hold the baby for a while. I said no. He said I was being naughty and pushed me off. My father pushed me off his lap and held her instead. She reached out and grabbed my teddy from me. I pulled it back, but Daddy told me to let her have it because she was only a baby and I was almost 5. So I bit her foot all bloody, and my father, my own daddy, spanked me. I'm not sorry I bit her. I looked up aghast. I don't remember anything like that, nor did my parents ever mention it. What a little monster I must have been. It's not surprising you don't remember. It's something else you repressed because it was unpleasant. You obviously had a daughter's fixation for your father, which is common, and you resented his showing attention to another child, particularly a girl. Making you give up your teddy bear was the last straw. You felt betrayed by your idol. Only one thing rang a bell. I did have a teddy bear, I recalled, but that voice, it didn't sound like mine. No, it didn't. I'm rather tempted to think that rather than being you or Phoebe, this might have been the inception of your third personality. If there is one, it might be that all memory of the incident has been wiped out of your subconscious and has been retained only in the memory of Madame X. Since she apparently didn't develop as fully as Phoebe did, she might easily have no color to her voice. In fact, this may well be the first time she has ever tried to articulate on her own. I shook my head in bewilderment. I just don't see where this fits with anything in my life. The baby, for instance, I can't imagine who she was. You didn't have a sister, did you? No, I told you I was an only child. I'd forgotten for the moment. No brother or sisters. You say, how about girl cousins? Only Rhiannon, but she was older. Well, then, it must have been the child of some friend. You're not likely to remember that, and it would explain why your father wanted you to give up your teddy. He was teaching you to be a good hostess, but you thought he was rejecting you. In other words, I had an Electra complex, I defined, immediately rebelling at the idea. But that's not true. I was always much more of a mother's girl. This doesn't make sense. You just don't remember. We all forget these things. And you really think that there is a third personality? He was tapping his pipe on his empty hand, and I took that for a signal that time was nearly up. I wouldn't make it as strong as that, he said. I don't think anything like that at the moment. I was only conjecturing on the basis of past cases. It's nothing more than a hypothesis at this time. We'll have to wait and see what unfolds. I want to change the direction of my questioning in our next session so that will be all for today. We'll have another go at it tomorrow. There better be a demon or something at the end of this book, or I'm going to be pissed. But then, how you get rid of a demon in 29 pages? All right. Until next chapter. What is it? 18 coming up. All right, Brahms, goodbye. Bye. Guten Bayern. I guess it's Guten Morgen. Put the damn. This is embarrassing. Get your damn tag in there. Goodbye. That was rather clunky.